everyone, this is Ed from Runnable and this is the 100-mile review of the Asics Superblast. So before I begin, just get the basics out of the way. So this is my own shoe. I bought this shoe with my own money. This is my own review. Nobody's had a chance to alter my thoughts on this shoe. Everything you'll hear today is my unbiased opinion. Okay, for those that don't know about the Superblast, and I can't believe there's many of us, very quickly we'll go through some stats. So we've got 45.5 millimeters in the heel, 37.5 millimeters in the forefoot, giving an 8 millimeter drop. Actually doesn't feel like 8 millimeters, and I was a bit surprised actually when we measured this that it was 8 millimeters, but it is. It feels quite a flat shoe when you're running it, so you don't realise that there is that 8 millimeter drop at all. Well, I didn't anyway. Compare it to the Neo Vista, which has also got an 8 millimeter drop. I felt the drop much more in that shoe. But anyway, in terms of weight, my UK size 9 is 254 grams, so it's a very light shoe given the size of it, and you can already get a feel for it's a big shoe. It feels like a real tank on your foot, but not in a heavy way, just in a size way. It's got this kind of lightweight mesh upper. There's pretty much no breakages. It gets dirty and it's hard to clean, but it's kind of maintained its the integrity of the upper, and it's not got any kind of rips or tears anywhere. It does get dirty though, as I said. It's very hard to actually keep the thing clean. The tongue, as you can see, this white tongue's all dirty. I've tried my best over the year or so since I've had this to keep it clean, but it is difficult, so just bear that in mind. The upper's good, good lockdown. You can see slight wear. I don't know if you can see, slight wear in the heel there. I get that quite a lot. It must be something to do with the way I run, but given the amount of mileage I've done in this shoe, that's kind of part of the course really. It's nothing too dramatic to worry about. And the outsole's held up pretty well. I have a new pair actually. You can do a bit of a comparison. So there's obviously some tread that has gone from this shoe that you can see in this shoe, but by and large there's no rubber that's come off, or there's no massive wearing that you can see there. It's just the tread really that's worn a little bit. I mean, the outsole isn't the best, I have to say, on this version. I hear the second version's got an improved outsole. You see these little gaps here? They catch little stones and you have to flick them out. So I've got one there, look. You see that? They're really hard to get out of there. Let's see if I can get one out. Yeah, here we go. There you go. So you end up doing that quite a bit. And it's no good in the wet. The outsole's not the grippiest. So I tend to avoid using this in the wet, which is a bit of a pain in the UK, as you can imagine. But we'll talk a bit more about that when I go through some of the things I don't like about the shoe. And then you've got this FF Turbo foam, in the midsole. It's a really responsive foam. When you first run in this shoe, it feels a bit hollow and a bit firm. And actually, one of the tricks that I used when I first ran in it, I didn't like the feeling at all. But then I basically took an insole from another shoe and put it on top of the insole that's here, to add that extra layer of cushioning. Because it's quite a voluminous upper, you can do that. And that insole actually made it like not so firm, and eventually this midsole broke in. So it takes a while actually. It took me at least 40 miles for this midsole to start to break in and feel a lot softer and more springy. I think if you're a heavier runner than me, I'm around 10 stone at the moment, it might break in quicker than that. And if you're someone who hits the ground with force, I think you're going to really like this shoe, because like I said, it will break in quicker and you'll get quite a nice response from the foam. There is no carbon plate in this shoe, which is, in my opinion, is a good thing. For a daily super trainer, daily trainer like this, you don't really ideally want a plate if you can help it, because you get more of a natural kind of toe off without that. That said, you've got so much foam here that there is no ground feel. But all in all, I think this is quite an amazing shoe, really. Considering, like, when I first put it on, I didn't like the shoe at all. I felt, why have I bought this? It's too firm, feels too big around my foot, feels like a tank. But bit by bit, and with the insole that I talked about, extra insole, I grew to love this. I'd just come back from an ankle injury, and I needed something that had a wide base. As you can see, it's got a big wide base all the way through the shoe, for stability reasons. But I still wanted something where I could run reasonably quick at tempo. And I've been told about this shoe. I've been running in the Speed 3s. They'd started to bottom out a little bit, and they were a little bit unstable for my ankle. So people told me about this shoe, and I had real problems trying to get it. Those that have been trying to get the Superblast or have purchased Superblast in the past, you'll know what I mean. It was limited supply. I think it took them by surprise, Asics by surprise, how good this shoe and how popular it was. And they had limited stock, and that meant, like for instance, for this replacement pair, I had to get these from Lithuania. I even bought a pair off eBay, which turned out to be fake. I've still got them, actually. So at some point I'll do a video to show you how you can tell a fake pair of Superblasts. But anyway, the point is that it was hard to get hold of. Once I got hold of it and did my first run in it, I was a bit disappointed because it felt really hard and hollow, firm and hollow, and I didn't feel like the fun in this shoe at all. I've been used to using the Prime X Strung, and the Prime X Strung 2, and there's a lot of propulsion from those shoes, and it felt bouncy. This didn't feel bouncy at all to me when I first tried it. But as I said, as I used it more and more and persevered with it and took the edge off it with the extra insole, I grew to love it, and the bounce started to come through as I broke in the foam. So this FF Turbo foam definitely needs some braking periods. So anyone who's kind of got this shoe has given up on it because you felt it was too firm, go back to it, try the insole, extra insole like I did, persevere with it, and it will come to life after something like 30 to 40 miles. Other people have said that it's less than that. I think that maybe they're heavier or hit the ground with more force than me, but for me it took that long, which is a bit of a negative, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons in a minute. So in terms of running over the 100 miles, as I said, it took a bit to get used to, but once I did, this became the number one shoe that I would reach to for my marathon training. And I used this throughout my training for London, this year's London Marathon. As you can imagine, coming back from an ankle injury, it was quite a tricky training block for me. So this actually probably saved my marathon. And I was really considering running the marathon in this, but I chose this Yellow X1 in the end to have that little bit extra propulsion and, have that kind of, those carbon plates to give me a little bit of oomph towards the end of the marathon. But I did run a 20-mile race in this, and it performed very well. In terms of wear and tear, like I said, it's still as good now after, I would guess, 200 miles. Somewhere around 100 to 200 miles. Sorry, somewhere in between 100 and 200 miles, probably closer towards 200. It's definitely, dirtier, and, sometimes I put it on, it feels slightly less responsive, but it's so similar to when I broke this shoe in originally after 30 miles. That just says to me that this is a well-designed, crafted shoe. They put a lot of effort into it. The foam is brilliant. It's very hard wearing. It doesn't lose any of much of its springiness over time. And it's just generally like a really good, all-round, versatile shoe that wears well and is very durable. And a lot of people complained about the price. They were saying like 200 £5 is a lot for a shoe. Well, if this shoe I can imagine I could do another 300, 400 miles in, and it will still be fine. And you can't say that about a lot of running shoes these days. So with that in mind, I think the value is not ridiculous. You know, you could possibly have 2 shoes in the lifespan of this one shoe. So that's why I bought another pair, because I think this will last for a long time for me. This will keep going, and when it goes, and I'll be able to tell, I'll replace it with this, and I'll keep training for marathons in these. So I would say that, you know, if you can still get a pair of the originals at a decent price, go for it, because they're still worth it. I think the second version, there aren't that many changes, to be honest, that make it a must buy over this version. So things I like, as I've said, durability has to be up there as one of the number one things that I like. I like the comfort. I think all round good upper, nice feel to the shoes, got enough volume in the toe box. I was able to do that, put the extra insole in there, and there was enough volume. It kind of stretches to your foot, so that's kind of nice. Foam is really nice. After you've broken it in, it becomes less hollow and you get more springiness. It's a very versatile shoe. I can go slow. It's not the best at slow paces, but when you go up tempo, it really comes to life. And you can do huge amounts of mileage in this shoe. It's a go-to shoe for me, compared to a lot of shoes that I've got. I look at this shoe often and think, yeah, it's definitely Superblast day if it's not wet outside. I'm talking about things I don't like. When it's wet, this shoe becomes almost unusable for me. I hit the ground and I slip, and it takes a lot of energy from me when I run in this shoe in the wet. So it's not good. So if you've got a race that's wet and you were thinking about using Superblast for a long race, don't. It's not worth it. You'll be skidding and sliding everywhere. It's big. It feels voluminous on your foot. It doesn't feel very nimble. But that said, it's like a tank of a shoe and you're meant to throw hundreds of miles at this shoe, so it has to be fairly robust. They're hard to clean. It's a pain to clean. I don't know if it's this material or what, but I've really scrubbed it, and you can see it's still kind of filthy all over, and there's not a lot I can do that with it. I don't want to put it in the washing machine. And they're the main things. And the price is, I've said about the price, it's a little bit expensive, I think, but actually when you think about how long this is going to last, I think it's not too bad actually. So they're my only really negatives. I think this is an amazing shoe. You can still get the first version cheaper than the second. I would go for this because there isn't that much difference. Maybe the second version's got slightly improved upper and the outsole's a little bit grippier, but this is still an amazing shoe. And I think Asics did an absolute amazing job with this, but the only thing I would say is please make them more readily available. Just trying to get hold of this shoe is a complete nightmare, probably still is, and the second version is not easy either. So I would say you want more people to use this shoe because it is such a good shoe. Great for marathon training, by the way. It's probably up there with this shoe, the Neo Vista, for marathon training. I think these two are comparable. I'll do a head-to-head of these shoes. I like them both. This is slightly better for slower paces. This is slightly better for quicker paces. They both you can throw hundreds of miles out. This is more durable. This I think is more bouncy and perhaps more fun. But I'll do a proper comparison of the two. But both are really viable marathon training shoes that you can throw lots and lots of miles at. So I hope this has been useful. If you like my content, please subscribe. If you like this video or have any thoughts on this video, please comment and give me the thumbs up if you don't mind. And I'll see you soon. Lots of love. On, it's Ed from Runnable. It's the second day after the 20 miler and DOMs are kicking in, so as you can imagine my legs are a bit achy. And so when you have legs like I have at the moment, who are you going to call? Well, you're going to call for this shoe. the Superblast, the original godfather of running shoes. Yeah, and I think actually, I think it's today will mark my 100 miles in the Superblast. I use them for my London Marathon training a lot because I was injured, and they were very stable and they helped. I had an ankle injury. They're a remarkable shoe. We'll do a little bit of filming with them, but and we'll do a proper review, 100-mile review after this. But yeah, I can't really say too much apart from pretty much the running community knows about Superblast and they know how good this shoe is. There are some things I don't like about it, but majority of things I really like about this shoe. So anyway, I better do my run. Berlin is now less than 3 weeks away, so I better get cracking, and I'll see you later. Stand by for a video. Bye bye. So wearing these Superblasts again just reminds me what a good shoe they are. I think the beauty of this shoe is it just feels, with all this stack and size, it's so light and normal, and the foam gives you good support, stability and cushioning. It's kind of a complete package, and this is why it has almost like a cult following. God, that guy's getting quick. That doesn't normally happen to me. Yeah, it's got like a cult following, and I can see why. It's very durable. There aren't many negatives. If I could pick a negative, it would be on first runs. You know, after the first few runs, I feel a bit hollow, firm. Need a bit of breaking in, and it's not a good thing, I think, when the shoe needs to be broken in, and it can take like literally 30 miles to break these in. Once you do, though, they're like a completely new shoe. For those that are having difficulties like that, a good tip or hack or whatever you want to call it is to put a very thin pair of insoles on top of the ones that are already in there to give you that extra cushioning, and that will protect your feet a bit, because if you're used to soft shoes and then you start running, when I say soft, cushioned and marshmallowy kind of shoes, and you put a Superblast on, they can feel a bit severe actually, but once you get used to them, my god, they're a brilliant shoe. They got me through a ankle injury and enabled me to run London, and I was so close to actually picking them as the shoe I was going to run London in. I went for the Cielo in the end, just because my ankle was good enough, I thought, recovered enough for me to use them, and yeah, that's fine. So yeah, it's good. Right, I'll see you later. They're not the fanciest of shoes, in the sense that, they're not the most springy. They're not the most, what's the right word? You don't put them on and you think, wow. But they do everything well. The only negative I've got now with these, and it's only one negative, is the outsole and the grip, and I believe that may have been fixed with the Superblast 2. If that is correct, then put it in the comments. But generally they're an all-rounder. You can pick up the pace in, you can go slow. They're not the best, but really slow. I think they seem to want for me to pick up the pace a little bit, but they're not bad. They're certainly not bad. You can run 10Ks, half marathons in these, no problem. Probably wouldn't run a 5K in them. they just feel a little bit, what's the right word, cumbersome, I guess, because they're quite a big shoe. They feel big when you put them on. They're like giant flippers. It can take a bit of getting used to, but it doesn't bother me at all now. Oh yeah, one other negative, they're difficult to clean. I can never keep this pair clean. I've got the sunburst, you know, this kind of sunshine orangey colour, and it's very hard to keep clean. But yeah, all in all, when they came up with the, you know, the phrase super trainer, I think Superblast started it all. It's the godfather of the super trainers, and for good reason, really. Many would argue it still hasn't been beaten. You know, you've got pretenders to the crown like the Neo Vista and the Balos, various other ones, but many would argue still haven't quite got the all-round package for the Superblast. And who's to argue with them? You know, they're probably right. At the moment I'm kind of finding the Balos more fun, but after 100 miles, will they bottom out? Neo Vista, I'm finding those a bit more fun, but again, the grip is starting to wear on those already. It's a soft rubber. So, you know, these things matter. You know, when you're buying these trainers, you want it to last a long time. And the one thing you're guaranteed with the Superblast is it's going to last you a long time. And that means it's forgivable in terms of the price, which is high. The only other thing is Asics, you really need to sort out availability of this trainer. It's so hard to get hold of. All it means is people start getting ripped off on eBay and various other platforms. Not really fair. So yeah, it'd be good if you made it a little bit more available. Anyway, that's me done. See you later. Bye bye. So, typical British weather. It's gone from being fairly pleasant and okay to drizzly and pretty shit. And actually, it's a bit opportune because it reminds me again of what the major weaknesses of the original Superblast is, and that's the grip. And it's like a different shoe when the ground's a bit skiddy and wet. You slip backwards. It's possibly got the worst grip of any of my shoes, actually. You know, it's just not a good outsole. The shoe is very durable, but not a good one for wet weather. Any kind of wet weather. God knows what it'd be like if it's frosty. Hopefully I'll never find out. But like I said, that's the one downside. Really is an all-round versatile shoe. As I said before, 10k, half marathon, not a problem in this shoe. In fact, many people would do that. Those that don't want to run in a carbon plated shoe would do that, and that's one of the key things for me as well. There's no plate in the shoe, but you can still run fast in it, and there aren't that many shoes with no plates that you can run fast in. It relies solely on how good the foam is. And I know people are going to disagree with this and say that the foam is the main thing, but you tell me how many non-plated shoes that you can actually pick at the pace in, like I'm doing now, and it feels natural. And when I say natural, I mean it feels like you're not having to put in loads of effort. I can think of maybe the Balos that's just come out with New Balance. If we're allowing non-carbon plated shoes, then you've obviously got the Speed Series 3 or 4, which I'll be using, and the Neo Vista. Can't think of too many other than that. There's probably are a few, but maybe I haven't used them.
But just goes to show how special this shoe is.